My name is Dr. Irene Valen. I'm 32 years old, and 5 years ago my sister destroyed my entire relationship with my parents using a single lie. She convinced them that I had quit medical school. She told them I had been hiding things, wasting my future, and throwing away every opportunity I'd ever earned. My parents believed her without asking me a single question. They blocked my phone number. They ignored my emails. They missed my graduation. They missed my wedding. For 5 years, it was as if I had died to them. Then one night, my sister was brought into my trauma unit after a devastating car accident. The hospital called for the attending trauma surgeon. That surgeon was me. And the moment my mother saw my name stitched across my white coat, she grabbed my father's arm so tightly that her fingernails left marks. That was the moment everything finally came apart. But to understand why, you have to go back to the last day my father ever seemed proud of me. Hartford, Connecticut. Autumn of 2019. The kitchen table where everything started. There were 2 daughters in our family. My older sister Monica was the center of everything. She was beautiful, confident, outgoing, and charming. She could make an entire room laugh within minutes. Neighbors adored her. Teachers loved her. My parents built their entire world around her. I was the quiet daughter. The one carrying textbooks. The one sitting alone at family parties reading science books while Monica entertained everyone. I wasn't difficult. I wasn't rebellious. I was simply invisible. When I reached the state science fair in 8th grade, I was the only student from my school to qualify. That same weekend, Monica had a theater performance. My parents attended her show. When I came home with 2nd place, my father barely looked up from the television. "That's nice," he said. He never even asked what my project was about. Eventually, I stopped expecting him to care. I buried myself in school. Advanced classes. Scholarships. Applications. I kept telling myself that someday I would accomplish something impossible to ignore. And for one brief moment, I did. When I was accepted into medical school, my father read the letter twice. Then he finally looked at me. "An actual medical school," he said quietly. Then he spoke the words I had waited my entire life to hear. "Maybe you'll make something of yourself." It wasn't affection. But it was enough. My mother spent the entire evening calling relatives. For the first time, I heard pride in her voice. But when I glanced at Monica, her smile never reached her eyes. That was the day she realized attention was shifting away from her. And she couldn't allow that. After I moved away for school, Monica called constantly. She asked about my professors, my classes, my schedule, my fears. I thought she finally cared about me. Instead, she was collecting information. Every weakness. Every worry. Every vulnerable moment. Then my 3rd year arrived. My closest friend, Sarah, was diagnosed with terminal cancer. She had no family. No support. No one except me. She had carried me through my hardest moments during medical school, so when she became sick, I stayed beside her. I requested an official leave of absence. The school approved everything. I planned to return the following semester. One evening, exhausted and emotional, I called Monica. I told her about Sarah. About my leave. About my plans. She sounded supportive. She promised not to tell our parents. 3 days later my father called. His voice was cold. "Your sister told us everything." I felt my stomach drop. "What are you talking about?" "The lies. The dropping out. The secrets." I tried to explain. I offered paperwork. I offered phone numbers. I offered proof. He refused to listen. My mother cried. My father told me not to contact them again until I decided to tell the truth. Then he hung up. 4 minutes. That was all it took. 20 minutes later, Monica sent me a text. I'm sorry. I had to tell them. I stared at that message while my best friend was dying in the hospital. I called repeatedly. No answer. I emailed documents. Nothing. I mailed letters. They came back unopened. Eventually, I understood something painful. My parents didn't believe Monica because of evidence. They believed her because they had always chosen her. She simply gave them permission to abandon me. Sarah died several months later. I was holding her hand when she took her final breath. I organized her funeral. Only a handful of people attended. Afterward, I found a note she had left behind. It said, "Finish what you started. Become the doctor I know you are." So I returned to school. Alone. No family. No support. No safety net. I worked harder than I ever thought possible. I graduated. Nobody came. Then I entered surgical residency. I met mentors who believed in me. I met Nathan, the man who would become my husband. When I told him my entire story, he listened quietly. Then he said something nobody in my family had ever said. You deserved better. We married in a small ceremony. I mailed invitations to my parents. They came back unopened. Again. Years passed. I became chief trauma surgeon at one of the busiest hospitals in Connecticut. I built a life. A career. A family of my own. But some wounds never fully disappear. Then came the phone call. A severe car accident. Female patient. Mid-30s. Massive internal injuries. I entered the trauma bay and looked at the chart. Monica. For several seconds I couldn't breathe. Then my training took over. She wasn't my sister. She was my patient. And patients deserve care. For nearly 4 hours I operated. Massive bleeding. Organ damage. Critical injuries. When the surgery ended, she was alive. I walked into the waiting room. My parents stood immediately. How is our daughter? My father asked. Then he saw my badge. The room became silent. I introduced myself formally. Your daughter survived surgery. My mother stared at me. Irene? I took a step backward. My father looked completely lost. You're a doctor? I'm chief of trauma surgery. My mother began crying. We thought you left school. No, I answered. Monica told you I did. I explained everything. The calls. The emails. The letters. The paperwork. The silence. For the first time in my life, my father had no answer. One of my nurses entered and casually congratulated me on being selected as Physician of the Year. My parents looked at me as if they were seeing me for the first time. Not a failure. Not a disappointment. Not a liar. A surgeon. A leader. A daughter they abandoned. Later I visited Monica. She looked terrified. You're a doctor, she whispered. I'm your surgeon. She tried explaining. I told her she needed to explain it to our parents. Eventually the truth emerged. My aunt arrived carrying years of evidence. Emails. Documents. Letters. Proof. My parents read every message I had sent. For the first time, they realized what they had done. My father cried. My mother apologized. I told them something important. I'm not the same person you left behind. I had built a life without them. If they wanted to return, it would happen on my terms. Months later, my sister finally admitted the truth. She had been jealous. She feared losing attention. She even admitted trying to interfere with my education. I demanded complete honesty. She told the entire family. Every lie. Every rumor. Every manipulation. My parents entered therapy. Slowly they began changing. Not perfectly. But honestly. Then came the Physician of the Year ceremony. Hundreds of people filled the room. My parents sat quietly near the back. During my speech I said, losing my family once felt like the end of my life. Instead, it forced me to build one strong enough to survive without their approval. I looked at my husband, my mentor, my aunt, and finally my parents. Sometimes the people who choose you become your real family. Sometimes the people who lost you find their way back much later than they should. My father stood during the applause. Healing didn't happen overnight. It still hasn't. But one winter morning my parents came to our house for breakfast. My father stood awkwardly in my kitchen. Then he quietly asked, "Can I help with anything?" That question nearly broke me. He had never asked before. I handed him plates. Set the table. He counted them. 1, 2, 3. Then he stopped. 4. 4. He nodded and placed the final plate down carefully. Outside, snow covered the yard. Coffee filled the kitchen. My husband smiled. My mother hugged me. And for the first time in years, my family sat together again. Not perfect. Not fully healed. But honest. I never got revenge on my sister. I didn't need revenge. I became someone strong enough to live without it. And that truth hurt far more than revenge ever could. My name is Dr. Irene Valen. I'm 32 years old. And after years of believing I didn't belong anywhere, I'm finally learning how to belong again. One conversation. One Sunday morning. One place setting at a time. 4 plates. That was our beginning. If this story touched you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts below. What would you have done in my place?